Addition of algebraic expressions with negative exponents. All right, we are going to combine two things that we already know how to do, just like we did yesterday. So hopefully it won't be too tricky. All right. Add and write the answers with all exponents positive. All right, so this is one of those ones you guys might not realize it when you're on your set. Even if it says add, there can be a subtraction sign here, all right? So if this happens again on the test, don't say, oh, this must be a typo. I'm going to change this to an addition because I want to. Nope, it's meant to be a subtraction sign. Okay, so first step, we want our answer with all of our exponents positive. So what I'm going to do is just start from the very beginning with positive exponents. I personally like positive exponents better, so I want to do it from the very beginning. So I have ax to the negative 1. What is this going to be if I make my exponents positive? Corey? What's this going to be when I make all my exponents positive? So what's it going to be? What is ax to the negative 1 going to be with positive exponents? A over x. Good. All right, I'm going to carry down my negative. Now I have this guy right here, by to the negative 2. What is this one going to be with all positive exponents, Ella? B over y squared. All right, a over x minus b over y squared. Now I need to add them, basically subtract them because I have this minus sign. It's just like adding the negative. What do I always have to have when I want to add fractions, Micaiah? A common denominator, perfect. So my denominators in this problem are x and y squared. Different color. I have x and I have y squared. So what I can always do, this one's pretty easy to find the common denominator, but if it's more complicated, the common denominator is always going to be the least common multiple. So you guys do that and as its own problem. But what you can do is you can take the denominator, so I have x and I have y squared. My common denominator is going to be the least common multiple. So what's the least common multiple of x and y squared? Yeah. xy squared, yeah. This one's pretty easy. We just put them together. So our common denominator is xy squared. We don't have to do anything weird there. We know our common denominator is xy squared because they don't really have anything else in common, right? They're just x's and y's. So we just have to basically squish them together. So now I have to go onto each piece, and I have to multiply each piece by something to get my common denominator on there. So on this first piece, a over x, I want my denominator to be xy squared, so I need to multiply this one by y squared over y squared. Multiplying by 1, we always have to multiply the top and the bottom by the same thing when we're doing this. Second piece, y squared on the bottom, I'm going to multiply it by x over x to get that common denominator. So y squared times a is just going to be y squared a. B times x, I'm going to have minus bx over xy squared. And that's it. So you guys have done changing your exponents to positive, and you've also done finding common denominators. So now what we're doing is just adding those two things together, making it a little bit harder problem. Corey? How? Yeah. I can't cancel anything here because I have that minus sign. So don't be tempted to say, oh, I can cancel this y squared with this y squared, this x with this x, and I'm in good shape. No, 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 because there's a subtraction sign there. If it was all multiplication, then I would be allowed to do that. Or if I could factor something out, I would be allowed to do that. All right, let's try another one. A to the negative 3x, y to the negative 1, minus bx to the negative 2. All right, first up, I'm going to find all of my negative exponents. So I have a negative exponent right here. I have a negative exponent right here. and I have a negative exponent right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all the pieces with negative exponents down into the denominator, and I'm going to change those exponents to be positive. So this x is the only thing that's going to stay in the numerator. I'm going to have over. I'm moving this piece down, so it's going to be a to the positive 3 now, because I switched sides. Y to the negative 1 is going to become just a y on the bottom. You could write y to the first if you want, but that's the same thing as y. And I have minus, we can't forget about the negative, bx to the negative 2. The b is going to stay in the numerator. X to the negative 2, I'm going to move down to the denominator, and that 2 is going to become positive. So when I flip sides of the fraction bar, we're flipping the sign of that exponent. So that exponent becomes positive. So now I want to find my common denominator. My denominators are a cubed y and x squared. So what is my common denominator going to be this time? Monica? Common denominator, yep, it's going to be a cubed y x squared. This is another one we have completely different variables, so what we really have to do is just smush them all together. It's not a very tricky common denominator. You guys have seen worse in your problem sets. So common denominator, a cubed y x squared. I need to look at both of my pieces, see what they're missing to get that common denominator. So this denominator is a cubed y. It is missing the x squared part of that common denominator. So I need to multiply by x squared over x squared. You guys need to show that step when you do these on the test. Show the multiplying. Don't just give me the answer. You guys do get points for work. And this second piece is missing the a cubed y portion of my common denominator. So I need to multiply by a cubed y, multiply by a cubed y. We're multiplying by the numerator and the denominator the same thing. It's basically like multiplying by 1, so we're allowed to do that. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to multiply x squared times x is x cubed minus, because the subtraction sign, b a cubed y. Just multiply those guys together. Always put it over our common denominator. So some people do the math right and they forget to put it over the common denominator. Well, that was the whole point, right? So don't forget about that. X squared a cubed y. And that is our final answer there. All right, one more example here. I'm going to have you guys try this on your own. So we have a to the negative 2x, y to the negative 1, minus bx to the negative 2. Really similar to the first one, just like one exponent off. So your answer should have been x cubed minus ba squared y over x squared a squared y. All right? These ones do get a little bit trickier, you guys, when you have to start distributing the negatives. That's what happened on last test. So this would have been like a minus b plus 1 or something like that. A lot of people forget to distribute the negative. So on the test tomorrow, always think about distributing the negative. If you see a negative, see if you need to distribute it, because that messed a lot of people up. So hopefully you guys all got, it looks like everyone is getting the right answer. So go ahead and grab a whiteboard.